All right, let's get this floor show on the road. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dave Giddings. I'm the Vice Commodore, and I just want to welcome you all here today and hope you have a great season. Is it working? It's good. Rightio. So we're going to have a great season this year. I just want to cover off on a couple of housekeeping things while we're waiting. The BSO's only just pulled up. I was speaking to the commanding officer of HMAS Cuttable on Friday night, and he's quite keen to dig up young pups to come sailing with us. But to do that, we've got to have boats. I want as many of you as possible to stick your hand up to be prepared to take an extra person on board. I'm really keen to get more naval people serving Navy sailing out of here, and veterans for that matter. So if you think you can find room for an extra body or two, can you let the office know so that if people turn up, we can take them down and introduce you to you. I don't want to be running along the dock every Friday night trying to dig up boats for people to go on. And just to give you an idea, Silvara, I've had a policy for the last 30 years that you don't leave anyone on the dock. And we've been laughed at on Friday nights because we've had 8 to 10 people on board. In the last 5 years, Silvara has been a first, second or third in the series. So don't let an extra body on board detract you. Fridays, I want it to be more a social thing and get people involved with the club. Okay, so I look forward to your support. A couple of other housekeeping things. Parking on site. Part of our lease is, and we're presently in the final throes of renewing our lease for the place, is there's to be no parking on site. We're only allowed to have vehicles come in, do deliveries, pickups and discharges. You're not allowed to park here long term. We're on a very good relationship with the council at present, and I don't want to have someone start jumping on us. So if you can keep that in mind, please. Gate closed. That gate's supposed to be locked. And that, again, that's in our lease as well. So if you're using the place, drop off, your member's key fits the lock on the gate. Make sure you lock it as you go, please. Next one, toilets. If you're here, think you're the last one here, make sure you lock the toilets, please. In the past, we've had real issues with backpackers and others coming in and having showers and using our facilities. So I'd appreciate if you can lock the toilets if you think you're the last one here. Again, members key. Right, that's enough of me waffling on. Oh, we just got an extra one. Marina Gate. If you can make sure you lock that, please. And if you see young pups down there fishing, be courteous, but say, sorry, you're not allowed to fish here. And by the way, if you fish along the seawall, quite often you'll get better fish up along there anyway. But we don't want young pups down there fishing and leaving all their junk and that behind. Thank you. That's enough from me.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Folks, I've got a board going around the floor, so that has your name and your boat. It's important that I get that because it's going to be part of your compliance. So just to make sure you do get your details onto that board for us. Oliver's just arrived from Maritime. We're just getting his presentation sorted out. So we might kick off with you, John, if that's all right. Oh, and the Commodore.
And one more housekeeping for anybody that doesn't know. Sort of the only really valuable thing we've got in here that somebody in the middle of the night might want to come and steal is this lot. So for those that don't know, please don't leave these lights on. There's the switch. Turn them off before you go on, if you're leaving at night and this is still on. Those ones that were on all night last night as well, and it often happens. So that's probably all we've got that's valuable around here, and that's a light that people are enticing, come and steal these bright silver things. So just one more housekeeping thing. Thanks.
AP coming down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beep. Hi there, John Allen's my name. You've probably heard me say that over and over again during the season. I'm going to kick off with the club safety briefing. So the aim of the presentation is to help you enjoy safe racing. That's what we're focusing on. Please, in the course of the presentation, if there's anything you don't understand, there'll be opportunities to ask questions. If you happen to think of some very interesting hypothetical situation, please don't bowl it up in the middle of the presentation. We can talk about it later, but we do need to focus on the practical things that we need to talk about. Okay. I'll remind you about the hazards and risks that you may experience while sailing and racing. Then I'll go on and talk about what you can do to respond to those risks and what RANSA does about that. And we'll talk about rescue and assistance resources and casualty response and evacuation. Nick, have we got those laminated evacuation cards for today? Okay, thank you. All right, let's talk about the sort of hazards that we might encounter. The sorts of hazards we can see are bad weather and sea, the physical condition of boats. If we've got rickety old boats that have bits falling off them, that's dangerous for everybody. The actions of boats when they're sailing and racing, marine hazards and other vessels that may impinge on you when you're sailing. Okay. And the pressure of racing. Pressure of racing is when people get excited and distracted about the competition that they're in, and the red haze descends in front of your eyes and you do irrational things. Okay. Bad weather risks. Strong winds, heavy seas, rain or fog, lightning and heat casualties. Okay, so the risks are injury to people, damage to boats, dismasting, sinking and damage in the worst case, and disablement of boats when your mast comes down or your motor fails you. Condition of boats risks. So we expect boats to be soundly constructed, well maintained and carrying serviceable means of propulsion, anchors, first aid kit and distress equipment. Those are the specific things that your Cat 7 safety audit addresses. The risks are, once again, equipment breakdown, that you'll get damage to your hull integrity and you'll get water ingress or flooding, sinking or dismasting, disablement, the inability to reach safety. Okay. Actions of boats. We expect boats to be competently handled, complying with the racing and other rules and regulations. And the risks that we can see coming up there. Collision between boats, injury to people that are on your boat without a collision, crew overboard, damage or disablement of boats, adverse interactions with regulators. We don't want people getting busted by the boaties or the water police or the subject of complaints from the Port Authority. And protests. And protests are deservedly the last of those risks because protests are about places in races, and that's not the most important thing, particularly about twilight and Wednesday afternoon sailing. All right. So marine hazards that we might encounter include charted marine hazards, rocks and shoals, bricks, wrecks that are marked by cardinal marks. Other hazards are big seagoing ships, ferries, and other craft. So if you have a tangle with a 60-foot pleasure cruiser that goes roaring down past Point Piper, you just as soon not hit them. All right. The risks, once again, are collision or grounding, injury to people, damage or disablement of boats, adverse interaction with regulators, protests. Pressures of racing. You might like to think about this. So the risks are you're sailing fast. You're sailing your boat faster than maybe you're usually in. That means that reaction times and things have to be a bit quicker. That means that closing distances on other boats and objects happen faster. It's a busy harbour, particularly on Friday nights. There's 3 or 4 clubs out there, and when we get to the Shark Mark, there's 3 or 4 clubs all heading west from the Shark Mark. The racing rules will cope with numerous boats rounding marks. Just be careful about it. Speed disparity between different boats. If you're out there in your North Shore 31 and you have an interaction with an 18-foot skiff or Comanche, you need to be acutely aware that you're travelling at 4 knots and they're travelling at 20 knots. Your mental geometry that you use to assess risk of collision is different when you've got boats that are travelling really fast towards you. Okay. And competitive preoccupation. So there we are, all putting ourselves in the position of John Bertrand about to win the Olympics, thinking tactically about positioning ourselves for the next mark rounding, and unfortunately we just miss a large piece of Australia that happened to get in the way. I talked about that. So when you're thinking about racing tactics and trying to make your boat go fast and do all that stuff, you also need to maintain your situational awareness. Keep your head out of the boat, look at other boats, make sure you know where you are geographically. And the red mist of competition, don't lose your temper. All right, are there any questions about those hazards and risks? Moving right, yeah. Thank you. That's right down the safety alley, Phil. If you come and see the office here, we will help you do that protest. Normally, it's easier for everybody if you submit the protest to the other club. Okay. What you can do to deal with the risks of weather. Get a current weather forecast before you go sailing. The days of the club sticky taping a tacky notice on the notice board in here that nobody reads are gone. Anybody who doesn't have a smartphone that's got a weather app on it, you need to invest in one, Kerry. Okay, guys. There are plenty of electronic resources that will give you good current weather. My personal preference is Sea Breeze. That's by far the easiest one to deal with. Look at the weather before you go sailing. Make the go, don't go decision before you go sailing. Don't end up on the boat when it's blowing its tits off and say, oh, I wonder if I should go out for a sail. Make your decision in plenty of time. But make your decision. If you get out on your boat on the mooring and it is blowing its tits off, then decide to come back in here and contribute to the welfare and economic stability of RANSA. Prepare your boat for the conditions. If you're going out in heavy conditions, make sure your boat's tidy, your lines are secured, your equipment's secured in the boat. Encourage people to wear life jackets where appropriate. We're not going to compel you to wear life jackets, but if people are nervous and unsure on the boat, or if you think people might be a bit clumsy around the boat, do encourage them to wear their life jackets. life jackets are comfortable and not inconvenient these days. All right. Encourage your crew to have appropriate clothing. Get in early when you invite non-sailing guests on your boat. Make sure they've got a warm jumper. In the sunny days, make sure they got hats, make sure they got sun cream, all that stuff. Okay. Conditions of boats. It's up to you to maintain your boat, hull, rig, and equipment. Don't let your halyards get tired and frayed so that you have unexpected lowering of sails in the middle of a race. That's uncomfortable and costs you places in races. Know what the Cat 7 requirements are, and you get to do this every year. You get to do your Cat 7 layout. You know what your needs on your boat. Don't let safety equipment creep off the boat when the weight obsessives come along and say, oh, look, if you put that anchor on the dock, your boat would go 0.05 of a knot faster. Don't do without your safety equipment. Be prepared to use your anchor. If all things fail, your mast comes down, your outboard won't start, and you're travelling rapidly towards Shark Point, you've got an anchor on your boat, be prepared to use it. Okay, action of boats together. You need to know the coral regs and the racing rules. Hopefully those of you that have been to a presentation of mine know something about the racing rules. Hopefully you all remember the coral regs. They're really quite similar, except don't expect a ferry to give you mark room. Keep a good lookout and think ahead. Look around your boat, think what's going to happen next, think what you want to do to deal with that situation that's going to happen in a minute's time. Identify the actions that are new to you, not very good, and practice them. Don't write checks that your crew can't cash. Don't go out there and try something clever you've seen on YouTube in the middle of a race. Go out there on a Saturday morning and have a bit of a practice at doing it. Practice your crew overboard drill. Crew overboard is pretty easy. Just a quick poll. Who has actually been in a crew overboard situation for live? 50%. Who's actually been the crew overboard? Who's actually been in the crew overboard and watched the stern of your boat disappearing over the horizon? Kerry's the unlucky one. I haven't. I was hanging onto the boat for dear life when I was over the side, I can tell you. All right. But it's important that you know how to do your crew overboard drill, that you can get back to a boat and help people help your own people back on the boat. Help other boats in danger, talking about crew overboard. If you see somebody else's crew in the drink, pick them up. If you lose places in a race by giving help to a boat or a person in danger, you will be given redress. If you don't give help to a person or a crew in danger that's out on the water, you can be disqualified in the race. We need seriously to help each other when we're out there. Okay, marine hazards and other vessels. Avoid chartered dangers. There are rocks out there. They've got various sorts of buoys around them, particularly cardinal marks. Pay attention to them. Don't take risks. You actually can go around inside the Nelson Park mark. Has anybody ever done it and lived? Kerry? Steve? You can do it, but you've got about 6 inches of clearance between the red stick and the big brick in there. I don't suggest anybody goes and experiments with that. Okay. Don't sail inside cardinal marks. That's in the sailing instructions. Just don't do it. Don't do it while you're racing. If you want to ignore the Bombora cardinal marks, do so at your own risk. You just need to understand with Bomboras that either they're working or they're not. If they're not, it's quite safe to travel inside the gallon Bombora marks. If, however, the Bombora is working, you run the risk of travelling sideways very fast towards Dobroyd Head. Generally speaking, don't sail inside cardinals. Keep a good lookout. That's important. Make sure your crew understand that they need to look out of the boat and help you along. Keep clear of the required distance from seagoing ships and ferries. That's in your sailing instructions. Do not pass between the escorting pilot vessel and a seagoing ship as it goes rumbling down the harbour. Don't get close to ferries. Be prepared to take avoiding action if another vessel is not keeping clear. Remember the Coleridge requirement. If the giveaway vessel is not keeping clear, you must. Anybody, Les? Act as necessary to avoid a collision. All righty. Pressure of racing stuff. Be self-aware about your racing rules knowledge. If in doubt, act cautiously. If in a lot of doubt, be cautious to the verge of timidity. Don't get yourself in difficult, clever racing rule situations that are a bit beyond you. Sorry. All right. Think ahead, plan ahead, communicate ahead. Communicate with your crew, communicate with other boats that are nearby by hailing so that everybody knows what's going to happen next. Operate within the limits of what you and your crew can do. Don't experiment with clever stuff during racing. Make intelligent assessments of what the squadron boats and the amateurs boats are going to do, particularly on that Shark Island to the west leg. We all know where they want to go. We know where we want to go. Think about that intelligently. The other thing I was going to mention was don't try clever racing rule stuff with somebody you don't know. If Les is out there and he wants to put a hard lee bow on Jason King on Solimar, Les can get away with that because he knows Jason. He knows Jason can control the boat. Don't do clever racing stuff with people you don't know because you don't know what their capabilities are. Okay, maintain situational awareness. Don't lose your temper. Don't embark on shouted discussions about the racing rules in the middle of the harbour. That is really unprofitable. It makes your boat go slow. It doesn't resolve anything about racing rules, and you run the risk that you're distracted from looking after your own boat safely. All right. And avoid contact. Avoiding contact is a really useful thing to do. All righty. Here's a situation at a starting mark. And we're talking about avoiding contact. So what's happened here? At the third position, 1, 2, 3, yellow comes up to squeeze blue out. Yellow's giving blue plenty of room to change course and giving room to tack away from the committee boat. Blue misjudges it and doesn't tack away in time and goes into the hole where there's no room for him to go. Blue is absolutely breaking the rule. He's not keeping clear of yellow when he's required to do so. The boats collide. Yellow is also breaking Rule 14, avoid contact, because yellow's just ploughed on in there and done nothing to avoid contact. So yellow has tactically done the clever thing, set up to shave the committee boat early in plenty of time, but blue's got in there and there is a dangerous risk between the two boats. Yellow needed to have borne away and given blue room to avoid contact. Blue doesn't have an entitlement to room at the mark, but she does have an entitlement not to be hit. Shane? No, Shane's out. Shane's somewhere out off Wollongong at this very moment. Okay. Any questions so far? Good. All right. What RANSA can do? Boats are expected to be able to sail and race in strong wind conditions. RANSA will not normally abandon racing if there's just a strong wind warning out. We may abandon racing if there are both strong winds and other adverse racing. Nobody wants to go out there in exactly 27 knots of wind and pelting rain. And we will always attempt to give you plenty of notice about abandonment when we're going to abandon racing on a day. Normally speaking, we'll try and make an abandon decision, say at 10 o'clock on a Friday morning. Certainly 9 or 10 o'clock on a Wednesday, if we possibly can. Our aim is, first of all, so you don't leave home to go sailing. Second of all, once you're here, so you don't rig your boat up to go sailing. If we can manage that, we will. If we can't manage that, we'll go right up to calling it quits when we're already out on the water. But generally speaking, we don't want to be too preemptive about abandoning racing. We don't want to deny well-sailed boats their well-deserved wins in heavy conditions. Remember, it is your responsibility to decide to go racing or to continue racing. Now, that said, we will abandon racing if there's a forecast for gale force winds in the racing area, obviously enough. All righty. So what we can do, the race officers, monitor forecasts and monitor the current weather and respond appropriately. We will abandon racing if there's a gale warning or seriously adverse weather conditions in the racing area. What we can do about condition of boats, we provide Cat 7 safety inspections. We require every boat to hold a current Cat 7 audit before they go racing with us. We conduct tech talks about techniques and we provide advice. And we conduct safety briefings and rules training. All right, actions of boats. We provide safety briefings, we provide rules training, we do. All right, marine hazards and other vessels. The SIs tell you don't sail within cardinal marks, and if one of your competitors sees you doing that in protests, you will be disqualified. The SIs say keep clear of seagoing ships and ferries. You are required to do that. For those of you that don't know, all of the Sydney Harbour ferries have continuously running dash cams, and they are more than happy to share copies of that video with the club should they take it into their heads that you've got in their way. Just to try and give you an understanding about how the ferries operate, ferry masters on Sydney Harbour are normally quite cooperative and sensitive about sailing boats. They will try and go round you. However, put yourself in the position of a ferry master who's trying to keep to his schedule, coming down the harbour and confronted with a wall of 50 boats between Shark Island and Clark Island, and he doesn't know which way they're going to go. He's really got no choice but to stand on and blow up 5. The other thing you need to understand about ferry masters is very few ferry masters and very few powerboat skippers in general understand how sailing boats sail. It's a complete mystery to them what the hell you're doing out there. All they know is that there's this boat out there and it's weaving from side to side up the harbour. And they really can't cotton on to what you're trying to do. So try not to do things which are perfectly normal to you, like tacking under the nose of a ferry. And the same goes for big power boats. All right. Coming back to race management, we will give you warnings about major shipping movements in the racing area immediately before races, and you'll hear me do that any Friday night. Okay, pressure of racing issues. We coordinate races and courses with other clubs around the harbour wherever it's possible to do so. All right, any questions? Yeah. I'll abandon racing when it is clear that, shall we say, boats are in survival mode, where boats can no longer race competitively. Practically speaking, let's suppose Breeze is coming from the north and comes in strong. I'll be quite reluctant to abandon a race when boats still have 2 miles to sail to get back to Rushcutters Bay, when they might as well come back through the finish line in any case. We will abandon racing if there is a gale force wind warning for gale force winds in the racing area. And gale force winds kick in at 33 knots. You're expected to be able to sail in strong winds. Anybody else? Yeah.
Microphone with questions, because then it'll be recorded and then the people who can't make it.
Should we also
Yep. Yeah.
testing? Yeah. Is it important to call out what, for example, an anchored committee vessel cannot do, which is pull up anchor and go rescue a boat, right?
Thanks for putting it that way.
I don't know if I've got it right.
No, that's fine. Giving help to other boats. Boats that are racing are required to give help to one another by the racing rules. And normally speaking, boats that are racing are closer to where the action is than the race committee vessel will be down on its start finishing line. Every boat, including a race committee vessel, is required to go to the assistance of other vessels that are in distress. In distress is like mayday, 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 where there is risk to life. Sorry, serious risk to life. I'm not going to say that RANSA 1 won't go to the assistance of someone that's in real trouble, but we would if RANSA 1 has to go and help somebody on the racetrack, we have to abandon the race for everybody, which we would prefer not to do. Does that get you to the answer you were looking for?
Yeah, I'm not suggesting you wouldn't try to. I'm saying it's impractical.
Yeah.
And likely to delay rescue.
Let's put it this way. Most of the time, the quickest, most efficient way for a boat to get help will be from nearby competitors. And bear in mind that I'll talk about that in a sec, Phil. All righty, because I'm going to talk about rescue and assistance resources. There are a series of rescue and assistance resources that are on the harbour. There's the Water Police, New South Wales Marine Rescue, New South Wales Maritimes patrol vessels, New South Wales Port Authority patrol vessels, the dog boat, that's New South Wales Environmental Protection, which I didn't list here. Worst comes to worst, we can fire up the rescue, the police or VMR can fire up the rescue helicopter and other nearby boats. It all depends on the level of severity of the incident, which is the best resource. There are a range of communications channels available. VHF channel 16, it's called the distress and calling channel for a purpose. VHF channel 13 to Sydney VTS Port Control. And I'll talk about those in a sec. Dial 000, call Sydney Water Police, and the availability of locator apps. I'm doing this a little bit backwards. The most reliable and quickest means of communication on the water is channel 13 to VTS. VTS runs an office with a whomping big VHF aerial and highly competent operators who listen out all the time. VTS has got better equipment and better officers and better operators than Marine Rescue. Marine Rescue is a volunteer organisation who's staffed on volunteers. Their hours of operation are limited. Just as a piece of information, so all the marine rescue stations around the coast of New South Wales remote their VHF radios to the marine rescue base at Terry Hills. So if you call up VMR at 9 o'clock at night on a weeknight from somewhere in the harbour, you will probably end up talking to somebody in an air-conditioned basement up at Terry Hills. Now, if you happen to be trying to put your boat into Eden at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday night and you call up Marine Rescue Eden, you will still very likely be talking to somebody in an air-conditioned bunker up on Terry Hills. So don't tell them to look out the window. Funnily enough, propagation, particularly in the evenings, Marine Rescue quite often around about 8 o'clock at night does not hear channel 16 off Sydney Harbour. But VTS will. Secondly, for reasons that completely defeat me, the water police seem to be very deaf on channel 16. Now, I've never done or heard a Mayday on 16, and I really don't know if suddenly the water police will light up and say tilt, but they're very hard to talk to. However, the water police are really easy to talk to on their direct phone line. Now I'll talk about choices, I think. Yep, here we go. If you have a serious accident with casualties and your boat cannot proceed quickly to a shore point for evacuation, water police is your best bet. Ring them on their direct line or else fire up a full quid Mayday on channel 16. But water police direct line. If you ring the water police on their direct line, you will either get a highly experienced duty sergeant who knows everything there is to know about rescue coordination and management, or you will get a very junior Marine Command constable who's got a whopping big laminated sign right in front of his duty telephone that tells him exactly what to do. You will always get the right response out of the water police for a big incident. Water police nearly always have a duty boat, but that duty boat may be committed to another task at the opposite end of the harbour. But they are reliable, they will take charge, and they will produce the best possible solution. Generally speaking, that's the situation where your boat is both disabled and somebody is is hurt or ill. Where you've got a serious casualty or illness on board, and the boat can proceed to a suitable point to drop them off. Select a suitable shore point, dial 000 and tell the operator the location of the shore point that you want the evacuation to take place at. Now we're going to give you Nick's going to distribute a chart to everybody that shows you some suitable places for evacuation around the harbour. But generally speaking, how shall I put it? The one thing to avoid is a fixed pier. You would if you want to get a casualty off your boat, you want to come up to a floating pontoon. Getting casualties up and down a 6-foot rise is really big, difficult business. So Yacht Club Mariners, second best is Sydney Harbour Ferry Wharves. Sydney Harbour Ferry Wharves are a little bit problematical because they're big and clunky and they tend to scratch the shit out of your boat. If that's the only way that you're going to get a heart attack victim off your boat, then I guess you don't mind getting your boat a bit scratched. Okay. So serious casualties, choose the best place for you. I would suggest that that's usually going to be the closest place that you can get to, because speed's pretty important. If there are marine rescue resources available on the water, they are usually very good at casualty evacuation. They can usually take a casualty off your boat. They've got defibs, they've got oxygen, and they've usually got a good flat surface that you don't have for doing the stuff you have to do with heart attack victims. The problem with Sydney Harbour is there are only a very limited number of marine rescue resources. Saturday, you're not too bad. There may be 3 or 4 marine rescue patrol boats out there. Any other time, it's a bit iffy. Now, what's the other one? If your boat's disabled or having difficulty, request help from other nearby boats. If necessary, try marine rescue on channel 16 or VTS on channel 13. Don't overuse this, guys, but VTS are sitting up there with radars, AIS, and good vision of the whole harbour. They know what's going on. They answer the radio. If you've got a problem, if you call them and politely ask them, are they aware of any rescue resources on the water, they will probably be able to tell you and facilitate you getting those people to come and help you. They're a good resource, but for goodness sake, we need to not overuse them. Okay. So, use the safety chart, laminate, usually choose the shore point that's closest and quickest for you to get to. Any questions about that stuff?
If you
Yes,
forget
Will.
the number for the water police, if you dial 000, will they transfer you to Marine Police?
Probably not. If you dial 000, they will and ask for police, they will put you into the top level New South Wales Police coordination level, which is not as good as the water police. I hope there's nobody here, but God protect you from the duty officer from Rose Bay Police if you have a marine accident. General duties police are not good at marine rescue. Got away with that one. All right. Are there any final questions? Yes, Steve. Yes, please.
There's 18 people online that are listening, so
What I was going to say was something that was pointed out to me recently, which was the My 3 Words like system location. I don't know if you're familiar with that for the whole globe, and oh, you've talked about that already, have you?
I didn't labour it. Okay. There have been difficulties with conveying our location to particularly to 000 operators. There are a couple of apps, and there are some websites that do this, that produce what's called My 3 Words. And this is clever stuff. It reduces any latitude and longitude anywhere in the world to 3 common words. So you fire up the app and say, I am here, what are my 3 words? And that gives you three words that are readily understandable. I have not tested this with 000. I have my doubts about 000. I have a horrible feeling that when you ring 000 and give them My 3 Words, they'll say, thank you very much, and please tell me the nearest cross street. That's one of the websites. What 3 words, or just 3 words if you want to play around on the web. But those 2 apps, I think we're moving towards the Emergency Plus. The New South Wales Marine Rescue one, if I understand correctly, actually runs off your GPS, and you press the button and it will send a request for assistance to Marine Rescue. But play around with those. I strongly suggest that you have at least one of those. It's handy stuff to have. Okay, folks. One more? Okay. All right, thank you very much for coming along. I hope you've enjoyed the presentation and found it a little bit useful. Last chance. Thank you, linesman. Thank you, ball boys.
Right. Thank you, John. Thank you for that. So, folks, we have Oliver Masons. Thank you. Sorry. We have Oliver here from, he's our New South Wales boating safety officer. And we just had to get his presentation loaded up. So he would have normally gone first. So thank you, Oliver, for coming.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. So just wait for the presentation here. Is that loud enough? Hello, check. Is that better? You all hear me at the back there now? Yep. Okay, so maybe you just need to skip. Yep, it's working. Go again? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there'll be a fair bit of overlap. It was John, is that right? Yeah. With John's presentation, which was actually really good. So you guys probably know most of this stuff. You see it every year, but we'll just go through it quickly. Obviously, be more focused on safety equipment, that kind of thing. So this is basically the agenda for the presentation. Life jackets for you guys. The most important thing is obviously, well, for us really, is like when you're getting to your vessel via your tender, usually you're by yourself. And in that case, obviously you've got to be wearing your life jacket. That's where a lot of people get caught out. It's under 4.8 meters. So when you're alone, or if it's at night, it's everyone on board. Make sure you're wearing that life jacket. And life jackets are always going to be our number one thing. It's obvious when there are unfortunately fatalities, nearly most of the time people aren't wearing their life jackets. So the inflatable life jackets, you guys use those most of the time on your boats, or you just use half-half? It's always good to keep the foam ones there as well, because then you can never go wrong with if there's an issue with these ones. a common issue some people have is they throw their life jackets in a watery bilge. The thing gets that thing will just turn into a little rust bomb. Obviously, won't work anymore. So these have to be serviced every 12 months, either by yourself or through the manufacturer. It's pretty straightforward process. It's just a bit of a pain packing them up after you've done them, but once you've done a couple, it's not too bad. Essentially, you need to weigh the canister. The canister will have how much it needs to weigh when it's fully charged. It's written on there. So just a small set of scales to measure that. The life jacket will need to be fully inflated, kept overnight, so you know there's no holes in it. And also the auto inflate function, if that's what you have, make sure that's in the green, it's not gone off. And there are a couple of models of life jackets that have been recalled. Just refer to our website if you want to double check what they are, because there's a few of those going around. I don't have the models off the top of my head. So yeah, the other basic safety equipment, you guys go through all that stuff. Most important things for us, obviously the life jackets, as I've already said. You guys go offshore racing at all? Yeah. So yeah, obviously flares are the big one. V-sheet, EPIRB's obviously a great one. Only needed if you're going 2 nautical miles offshore. And yeah, make sure your fire extinguisher is the gauge is in the green. Sometimes over time the powder gets compacted on the bottom and they won't work anymore. Yeah, so tenders don't require all that safety equipment. They just need the paddle and the torch at night and a bucket or bilge pump. But even though it's not a requirement to carry life jackets on a tender, you still need to wear it if required. So it's kind of a funny one. Navigation lights, the tri-sail ones, we don't recommend in the harbour because they're hard to see with all the lights on the shore. Make sure your steaming light is working when you are under motor. That's a real common thing for people to trip up on. And yeah, just make sure that they're nice and brightly lit because yeah, with the background lighting at night, very easy to get lost. So yeah, interactions with other vessels that aren't in your sailing race is just use the collision regulations. Otherwise, it's your racing rules. As John mentioned before, what's this? Oh yeah, just beware of large vessels in contained areas where they're restricted in their ability to maneuver. Large tankers and so forth. They can't see you if you're too close to their bow, and they can't move even if they could see you. If you're the overtaking vessel, even if it's a motorboat, you are the giveaway vessel. So I'm sure you guys are fairly familiar with the hierarchy of who gives way to who. Common kind of question it's not black or white as to like a passive craft. Who gives way in that situation? It's all up to interpretation, but I mean, I would argue that small passive craft are restricted in their ability to maneuver. They can't turn or move quickly. So yeah, try and keep out of the way of those guys. But it all comes down to common sense at the end of the day for most of these things. And yeah, as John was saying, do not force your right of way if a collision is imminent, because I've seen it happen a fair few times. Yeah, the orange diamond's a disappearing thing these days. It's only on the first fleet class ferries and the freshies. Yeah, obviously keep clear of the big ships. The pilot vessels are pretty easy to see, and you might be because they're so far away from the ships. Often you'll see their lights flashing. There'll be a ship approaching there because they're like half a kilometre away sometimes. But yeah, do not pass between the pilot vessel and the and any incoming ships or leaving ships. Yeah, already kind of discussed passive craft. That thing doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, just obviously watch yourself with alcohol, 0.05 maximum. Yeah, if there is an incident, if it's in-house accident, obviously just within the club. Otherwise, if it's significant damage or any injury to people, then you need to submit a VIR to Maritime, and then we'll follow up on that. For flares, just go to the New South Wales website if you're looking for a place to dispose of expired flares. They expire every 3 years. Yeah, every second boat that we check has expired flares on them offshore. Yeah, there's always a bit of that tech going around. None of that's legal at the moment. Yeah, so these things do exist, and that people are looking at them, but there's no legislative. At the moment, you're still required to have the parachute and smoke flares. Good idea is just to write on the packet what the expiry is in big texter, because trying to look at the flares is a pain in the butt. It's a very small writing. And that's about it. So any questions?
The ferries, the diamonds. Do we have to give way to all ferries or just the ones with the diamonds?
Well, specifically, obviously, yes, the diamonds, but you are you should be giving way to all ferries if possible. But yeah, specifically the diamonds. Yeah, it's kind of it's a good question.
Okay, next one. There's ferries out there now with flashing yellow lights. What's that in aid of?
That just means they're fast ferries. It literally doesn't mean anything else. It's just more of another indication that's a fast ferry. Just keep an eye on, just a visual indication. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Oliver.
Just out of curiosity more, so the KFC marker or the clip that disappeared, what? So that's just, there's no regulation, safe water mark.
Yeah, so ports, the location of that was inconvenient for ports for some of the larger cruise ships that are coming in. Given certain wind conditions, that was going to make it problematic for the extra big cruise boats. So that was there. We didn't want it to go because it was, well, it's not there. We put up another mark. It's a yellow one. It's about 100 meters away from where that one used to be, which is meant to serve the same purpose, but yeah, so it's not in the ferries are meant, we asked the ferries to go around. It's not in the harbour master directions anymore. Yeah, well, it's not there. But yeah, you can, yeah, the yellow one there is in a much different position, and the best thing to do is just not cutting the corner of Bradley's, because especially going the opposite way to the traffic, because that causes chaos, and it can be quite a blind corner for boats coming around from White Bay, not White Bay, Athol Bay. Any other questions? Well, thank you for your time, everyone. Have a really safe season, and I'll see you out there.